Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
The Stock Movers Podcast, your roundup of companies making moves in the stock market, harnessing the power of Bloomberg data.
Let's take a look at some stocks that are on the move. Today, Bloomberg News earnings reporter Red Brown is in the house. Red, you had a lot to choose from today.
Certainly did.
Well, let's start with Enphase Energy.
Riches.
Enphase down 11% today following a downgrade from Jefferies analyst Julian Duma and Smith, who raised concerns around the company's potential exposure to cuts in the IRA. We know
this is the Inflation Reduction Act.
Correct. We know that the Republicans in the Senate are looking for kind of any area where they can cut money out of the budget. Inflation Reduction Act would probably be a pretty easy one for them.
This was all approved of spending, right? And now they're like pulling it back.
Right. I mean, you have to think it's a $430 billion target for them, right? And it's an easy one considering who pushed that. That legislation through. The stock is its lowest since it's been since July of 2020. So kind of been getting battered here for the last few years.
And a reminder, this is a solar equipment manufacturer.
Yes.
Got a market cap of about $6.5 billion.
Second worst performer in the S&P 500 today, so not too pretty.
Yes, definitely not. And Jefferies is kind of turning quite bearish on the stock. They're one of 4 sell ratings. Most of the ratings right now are holds, 22 holds and 15 buys. But Jefferies is kind of warning that, the growth might not be there for the company going forward. While a lot of analysts are still pretty bullish, Jefferies expects low single-digit declines next year just due to people not appreciating the level of risk kind of coming out of Washington, D.C.
Yeah, listen, I mean, right, all of those spending programs under the Biden administration, right, you're talking about money going into certain industries, right, almost, you start to do projections and expectations based on that, and that was kind of a given, and so now you do a 180 on that, right? It's a very different outlook.
Definitely, and it's not just Enphase either. First Solar as well was down around, I think, 5-ish% today as well. So in general, those green stocks that were so heavily supported and had so much positive momentum behind them are starting to maybe wobble, given the changing tunes in the country.
First Solar down 7.5%. So just off its lows of the session.
Hey, speaking of a change in momentum, there was this idea that defense stocks would be a beneficiary at one point when people were thinking about this administration. What's going on now?
Yeah, well, if one sector is getting cuts or targeted for cuts, this is another one that's surprisingly quite supported. The news came out last night. President Trump, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth says both talking up this idea of a $1 trillion defense budget, talking about that it's going to be in the vicinity of a $1 trillion. They want to be the first ones with that kind of flashy number. And it's really this promise to rebuild the military. So that's pushed General Dynamics, Lockheed, Northrop, and RTX all up, relatively speaking, considering how things are. They're all within the top 10 best performers of the S&P 500 today.
I thought we were pushing Europe to spend more on defense and other nations to spend more on defense so that the U.S. didn't have to kind of police the world.
Yeah, well, they also, I don't think it's very a political expedient thing to talk about cutting the military budget.
No, I know. No.
Correct, and that is where Doge is going to have trouble.
It's amazing, both Republicans and Democrats, right, in terms of defense spending. Sorry, I didn't mean to put you in a tough spot, but it's just wait a minute, let me understand this.
I can choose my words wisely, I guess.
You can.
No, I mean, it always has bipartisan support, right? And also just to put it in context, they're really touting this $1 trillion. The stocks are up low single digits, all of them. So, and the reason being is last year, if we remember, we kind of have a short memory with a lot of these things, but they were at $923 billion last year for fiscal 2024. Wow. Another $70 billion is not bad, obviously.
Yeah. Not too shabby.
But it's a moderate boost, and it does speak to kind of the continued support of this industry.
Another one that actually ended in the green today.
Yeah, maybe if you want to just cash it all in and get away for a little while.
See ya.
Go take a sail on a ship.
See ya.
See you later.
Hit the high seas.
Carnival.
Yeah, I have to talk about cruises every time I'm in here.
Why are these? Why?
Why do I have to?
No, why is it higher? Because Red would rather be on a cruise than with us. We only got 30 seconds, Red.
Okay, well, look, Carnival announced that another $2 billion for 2 new cruise ships. This is actually one of, if I'm not mistaken, the first announcement that they are going to restart building their capacity post-COVID. They've really been focusing on paying down their debt.
Yeah.
And I think it's really interesting. To me, I'm almost
It's a big
reading...
deal.
Exactly. I'm reading this almost like a buyback by the company, by the management, signaling that, like, look, we believe in our company. We believe in the direction that things are heading, to say that we're willing to invest through even this like economic uncertain time.
Yeah.
But I mean, these ships probably won't hit the waters for many, many years, but still they're willing to take on $2 billion despite everything else that's going on. And a lot of that has to do with the continued demand. I know I sound like a broken record within the cruise industry. We will get a little bit more insight into the travel industry tomorrow because Delta is reporting earnings.
The Stock Movers Podcast from Bloomberg Radio. Check back with us throughout the day for the latest roundup of companies making news on Wall Street. And for the latest market-moving headlines, listen to Bloomberg Radio live. Catch us on YouTube, Bloomberg.com, and on Apple CarPlay and Android Auto with the Bloomberg Business app.